I picked to do my project on the Western films because growing up, they were always part of my life. They were part of my grandfather and my great grandfather. We'd sit down, we'd watch them, and I just wanted to learn a lot more about these films. I hope you enjoy my project, and here we go. So the very first Western films, they were of the actual people in the from the West, like Ann Oakley and the Wild Bill show. And it was through these actual shows that they started to develop a liking for it, and plus a new genre and novels had actually come out, and they were already romanticizing the West. Kind of funny because they're less than a generation out at this time in 1896. A lot of the Wild West is actually still going on. The actual first film that depicted an actual Western would have been the Kidnapped by Indians in 1899, which was in England at the time. It was in this video that they actually showed the development of the Western, and then the very first American produced Western was The Great Train Robbery in 1903. And the Western stayed as a silent film until the 1930s, and then from the 1930s to the 40s and 50s was the golden age of Westerns. During this time, different genres would develop, and iconic people would come to surface. And this is when most of the most famous Westerns were produced. There's so many Westerns produced at this time, it's not possible to name them all. And then in the 1950s, and 60s, 70s, and 80s, the Westerns came to actual TV. At this time, since they were being watched every weekly on TV, the movies were dying down. There were still some blockbusters, and there are still some coming out today, but it was TV that basically killed Western films. And there's Bonanza and lots of iconic Western TV shows out there. So if you ever want to get out there and you want to get a sense of what a Western was, most of them are less than an hour long, and you can watch them on there, and you can get the sense of how a Western is paced and formatted. For this project, I want to say thank you to the Western Film History Museum in Pine Grove, California. They provided many of these photos I used in this project, and it was an absolute honor calling out there and talking to Peggy and discussing Western films with her. And I learned so much, and I found it was not possible and not to do this project in the time allotted. I actually had to leave a lot on my cutting room floor of my project. So have a great day. I hope you guys learned a lot.